Okay, I see Jill, and I know Jill and Rachel put an agenda together. I do know that we're going until 5. No, we're going until 6, 3 to 5. I'm still messed up on time change. We're going 3 to 5, so we've got 2 hours. And I don't know if the agenda has been shared or not, or if you do want to at least just start with an agenda review if everyone's in the room. If not, we can just continue to wait. Either way is okay with me. I'm letting Jay in now.
Yeah, well, that's really loud. Is there a volume on this? No, just stand back like this. Okay, perfect. Rachel's here. She's just working on, internet and whatnot.
I have the agenda that you guys had sent out quite a while ago, but I'm putting it in the chat just so that everybody has it also.
I wonder if I can open it from my phone for virtual. Trying to open it on my phone. Oh, wait. Might be working here, and then I'm going to be in the meeting twice.
Oh, remember that one. Okay, I wanted to make sure.
I will get you stickers so you can
You might be on the Zoom app, and so you're just doing like the browser. I think it's just going really slow, but I'm on my phone, so as long as that's not creating any problems. There you go. Okay, perfect.
Good.
And now we should probably
All right, I'm just going to use my phone, and hopefully that doesn't create any problems.
Do you have a lot of battery left?
Yeah, I think so.
Mine dies so quickly. I need to get a new one. But anyway.
Okay, so Lindsay, did you say you put the agenda in the chat?
And then I started a new folder within our drive and have started minutes or notes.
Awesome. So our first agenda item is an introduction from Stephanie, which she already shared her bio, which I forwarded to everyone. So if you want to proceed, Stephanie, we'd appreciate it.
Sure. I didn't want to really go into a whole lot about my background. I thought it'd be easier just to sort of send the attachment. But I did want to make sure that folks that are new to this process knew a little bit about where the agency I work for and what my role is in it. So I am a mediator with FMCS, as you saw on the bio. You can always go to our website sometimes if you want to see what we do. There's about 130 mediators in the country. We're a small federal agency that's been around since about 1945, 47. And we were originally created under the Department of Labor to just sort of get out there around the country and help unions and employers resolve disputes. Back in the day, it was sort of to reduce the number of work stoppages. And over the years, our work has morphed into a little more than that. We also do a lot of training related to labor management relations, contract administration, and really with just whatever needs a unionized workforce has to do good labor management work. And we also, of course, do interest-based bargaining, which is what I'm facilitating with you all. I will say this is your second contract with IBB or your third contract with IBB?
Third.
Third. So if you're new to this committee, you'll notice that as a facilitator, I don't really take the reins because so many folks have come forward on this committee and they've sort of got the process down. Obviously, you see people this group creates their own agenda. And generally, you all have sort of learned the process enough that you let me know when I sort of need to kind of step in and you need a little bit of steering. Or if I think it might be helpful, I'll offer. But I do try to hop in and attend most of your meetings. I am virtual right now. I will tell you, we did sign off with our agency in order to get in the field. It's by individual request. So I know tonight we're going to talk about your schedule. We're going to talk about your training needs. And so maybe a possibility for me to get out there at least for your training needs in the field with you. Other than that, mainly I'm still virtual. Last two things, I am confidential. So whatever is sort of gets said in your IBB process, I know you all have sort of an obligation under the state of Kansas to open your meetings. But me as a mediator, I don't go talk about your process, your issues, or your meetings outside of meeting with you. And I think that is it. I cannot give advice. I don't give legal advice. You all I know have counsel on this committee. I can tell you all what I've seen. I can kind of ask questions to generate ideas, but I generally don't guide you with advice. So that's all I've got. Unless anyone's got questions about my role or my agency, I'd be happy to answer.
We should do like introductions of ourselves.
I think that would be great.
Can we start?
Yeah, we're going to go around and just introduce ourselves since we have one new person.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought there were so many. Never mind. Well, what I was thinking for the training was that because we had some new people that kind of joined in the last time.
Oh, right, good point.
Okay. I don't know. We need two. I feel like the microphones they're just ready. Okay. I'm Jill Johnson, and I'm a math teacher at Shawnee Mission North, and our association vice president. I'll turn it over to this way.
On the, yeah.
Thank you. I am Abby Morgan, and I am the principal at Shawnee Elementary.
I am John Dirks, an 8th grade math teacher at Indian Woods.
Jay Sharbut, welding and metals instructor at Shawnee Mission West.
Joe Gilhouse, Deputy Superintendent.
Scott Sherman, Director of Secondary Services.
I'm Todd Dane, I'm the principal at Shawnee Mission South.
Mike Schumacher, Associate Superintendent for Human Resources.
I am Linda Seek. I teach Spanish at East, and I am the NEA-Shawnee Mission President.
I'm Lindsay Atchison. I teach EDBD SPED at McAuliffe Elementary, and I'm our association secretary.
I'm Rachel England. I'm general counsel for the district. This is my 3rd year with Shawnee Mission School District. And just to clarify for the whole team, we will only have 5 team members, but obviously we're in a transition role right now. Our goal is to have a secondary principal and an elementary principal on the team. And so with Dr. Sherman's moving to central office, he will be coming off the team, and we will have Dr. Dean coming in, serving in that secondary leader role, and at an upcoming board meeting, we'll have the board approve our team members.
Okay. So we can keep going with our agenda. I know when they're both on, it's like a hot mic.
I know.
So our next thing is to kind of present what our subcommittees worked on. We had 2 subcommittees, and the first one we were going to have presenting is our 5 to 7 subcommittee, which just refers to, if anyone's watching and doesn't know, secondary teachers teaching 5 classes out of a 7-hour schedule. So subcommittee members were myself, Michael Schumacher, Linda Seek, Scott Sherman, and Todd Dane, right? You were there too, yes, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to remember if anyone else, okay. So yeah.
And others, right?
Great. Do we have anything that we were going to actually show? I'm trying to remember. Yes?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do have some sample language,
Great.
so yeah.
I
Wonderful.
believe it's set for anyone to screen share right now. Michael, if you want to screen share.
I can, yeah. So yeah, thanks for the intro, Jill. So just maybe a little bit more. We had other members on the team as well, so folks who aren't on this committee had some really productive conversations. I think we had, do we have 3 meetings? 2 or 3? Maybe 2, and then the subcommittee, right? And then on the last meeting, we brought in Russell Knapp to kind of help us. I'm thinking of another committee, aren't I? Sorry, 5 out of 7, we didn't bring in Russell Knapp?
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yeah, he helped.
Oh, that's right, he did, okay. Sorry, have multiple committees going. But in the end, we did come up with a recommendation. We did start to take a look at some draft language that we would propose to this group. I think there is a belief from the committee members, and I'd ask, Jill and Linda to chime in as well, that we need something to get us through from now into staffing time, which is January, when principals are going to have to be making decisions around staffing, until this group gets the full P&A ratified, in summer, late spring, whenever we get that done. So I will try to share my screen here. And for the team members, it is in our team shared folder. So if you go to the negotiations team shared, and then there's a 5 out of 7 folder. Guys, I'm not going to be good at this. Quit and open.
Sample language.
Yep, sample language. I apologize. I don't know how to do this on my computer. Can someone else share it?
I've got the document on. Let me see. I'm usually the participant. There we go, share my screen.
That's where I got, and I got confused, so.
So Google Chrome.
Yeah, and then just hit the blue share at the bottom.
It'll come up from there.
And if it's Lindsay or Jill, whoever's sharing, now you have to sort of select the document in the bigger box when you share. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Lindsay's a tech expert.
Should be fine there.
It was in the,
You're braver than I am. I got to that and I got scared.
I'll send you. Okay, I'll forward it to you now.
You can try, because
We've got a
I've got the
second
document, I just wouldn't let me share.
There we go.
Wanting to change your preferences.
Just took
on
one
things.
click from Jill. Nice job. Just took one click from you. Well done. All right, so if we want to go through this, where we landed was that we wanted to really define who this impacts. And so who it impacts are secondary teachers, general education, full-time secondary teachers. That's what it says in the first part. And it defines it as, they should have a supervisory period and a plan period. Okay? For team teachers, and this would be at the middle school level, that supervisory period is a team plan. I guess we could change that to say it could be a team plan. I'll lean on middle school folks on how they want that to kind of read. The second portion, and one of the things we did as a committee, is we took a look at language from other districts. And so we're kind of borrowing some of this from Olathe. They had in their language the option of 2 different ways to get to teaching an additional section, or how a teacher could end up teaching an additional section. So the first one is if the faculty member requests it. Let me pause there, let me backtrack. So the idea that we all had a commitment is that the status quo, the norm, is that everyone's 5 out of 7. This is an outlier, right? The wish is to address work-life balance, and to do that and to honor the 3-2-2 committee, we should hope for and try for everyone to be 5 out of 7, okay? But we know that there's going to be circumstances where this could and probably will happen, all right? So moving forward, the faculty member could request it for any of those number of reasons, a nested class, they don't want to do a supervisory period, just things like that. So they could make a request to the principal to teach that 6th period. The principal could deny it or approve it, up to them. If they approved it, there would be no additional compensation because the building and the district were ready to move forward with them teaching 5 out of 7, okay? So they can make the request. Again, it doesn't have to be approved. If it is approved, there is no additional compensation.
Would we have that, like a standardized form for that?
Yeah, so they've referenced a standardized form, and I thought about trying to put something together, but I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself at this point, so probably, yes.
Okay.
And it was our understanding that this request is for 1 year. It's not a ongoing thing. It would be a yearly decision that the administrator would approve, and nobody's locked into it, and nobody can just count on that being the way it is based on building needs might be different.
100%. Second way, and I guess I would anticipate this being the typical reason, the typical way that this would happen is master schedule driven. So administration determines that there is a need driven by the master schedule. They want to offer an additional course, things like that. So they would approach teacher X and ask them if they wish to do, or if they would be willing to teach an additional period. That teacher would have to agree to it. The administration couldn't force them into teaching that additional section. And if that's the case, they would be compensated. So we had some discussion around this. Again, we were looking at different districts and how they did it. It varied widely in how they compensated. Where we landed is we wanted kind of a sweet spot. And again, I'll ask Jill and Linda to chime in as well. But we talked about like 10% of certain salaries. We talked about 10% on the beginning. We talked about 10% in the middle, 10% of just base salary where people are at. And we thought that there could be an instance where it was too much, right? It wasn't commensurate with what the job was, right? So where we landed, and of course this is debatable, it was all of us just kind of beating it around, was masters plus 15 step 3 on the current salary schedule. And so and that would be for the full year. And so for the full year, it'd be 10% of that. And so 10% of that would be 5236, right? And so half, if they did one semester, it would be 2618. And for the full year, it would be that 52 and change. And so it's that 10% of masters plus 15 step 3. The reason we like that type of language is of course that rate will increase should the P&A or should the salary schedule increase. Okay, so it'll continue to move with inflation and with changes to the salary schedule. Last part just kind of captures some of our beliefs there, and at some point in there, I think it addresses that this is again only for a year, that it's not binding, it doesn't impact the primary contract of the employee. The primary contract would remain in effect, and this would just be an additional supplemental, something we didn't quite land on what that language is going to look like either. So that's kind of the summary. Did I miss anything, team members?
We talked about principals would have the flexibility. For example, you need another section of geometry taught that you could, two people could split that. Someone could choose to do it first semester and someone else could do it second semester if there's a reluctance for someone to, do a sixth assignment for a whole year. Maybe they are a coach or have other responsibilities.
Yeah, I agree. And I also want to point out that there's a spot here that talks about if they believe the master schedule, we need an additional class section. then they would first initially contact Human Resources to determine if they could have an additional staff member added to the school. And then if that's not going to be an option, because again, our goal is work-life balance, to have everyone teaching 5 classes out of 7 at the secondary level.
And I don't know if it's captured in here, but we talked about the fact that schedules can change, and so it's important to be able to provide this compensation explanation when people agree to do that, understanding that if enrollment went down or there were other hires, that could change before the next school year starts. So it's a needs base, and if those needs change, we talked about that. I don't know how we capture that, but that was part of our discussion.
One of the other things I didn't talk about that we discussed, making sure that we addressed, was that giving the principals some sort of guidance on who they chose. And so we tried to capture it in the bottom part of that second to the last paragraph, considering caseload, traveling teacher positions, itinerant positions, number of preps, length of the experience as a teacher, things like that. It is an administrative decision, but it just can't be a willy-nilly decision, right? There needs to be some sort of factors in place to determine who that is.
Can you repeat again what cell on the salary schedule it's based on?
Masters plus 15, step 3.
Okay.
And then just to reiterate, this is just our presentation of what the committee discussed and our, proposal or, drafted language. So this would definitely be something that we IBB, right? And really get into. So, yep, it's right here. Masters plus 15, the first, the 1 through 3 step, 52,356, 10% of that. But over a year's time, so let me go back. We did have a little bit of discussion, we were probably getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but about what that would look like as a contract, because like Linda said, this is a year commitment. And so, maybe like an addendum to our one-pager contract, because we definitely want to make sure that if the person says, yes, I'm going to teach the 6th class, that they don't all of a sudden, 1 week into it say, nah, because like with a supplemental position, people have
that's
stopped those, so.
the first thing I said when you said
Right.
supplemental. I was like, well, supplemental is at will. And
Right. So we can't do that, yeah.
No.
So, and that's just something to think about as we go through the whole process, but.
And Russ is
I'll figure that out.
Yeah, Russ is checking and figuring out if there's a way to program the contracts that becomes like an extra section, which at that point, you lost me a little bit, but I
Right.
figured
You
out,
lost
he'll
me
figure
too,
that
so.
out.
Made a little sense, but he can.
I can get with my colleagues too at Olathe and Blue Valley and ask how they just technically get that in the contract. But those decisions from a timeline perspective would be known before the contract's issued to a teacher?
Yeah, so typically it would be happening, excuse me, from spring break through end of May.
Okay,
And we issue contracts, the physical contracts or the electronics contracts come out in August, September.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
So if there's any other questions, that's the basic presentation from us. We toss it on to the other committee? Not it.
Do we want to have the presentation about the other committee and then try and talk about the technicalities of how we sort of memorialize this prior to formal negotiations, since we haven't actually started the process yet?
I think, because I think you would agree that this is pretty time sensitive since staffing will start soon after winter break, that we maybe deal with this issue because salary schedule is ongoing probably. And even if we get introduced to it tonight, that's not critical. Like I would think this needs to be finalized so it can eventually be approved by the board and such.
Well, I mean, if we wanted to, I mean, I know we've talked about doing an MOU and assuming that we have I think most of the work and discussion on this, like 90% of sort of the IBB process, has already happened at the subcommittee. If we have a tentative agreement, my initial thought was that we could draft up an MOU that, I'm trying to think what it would say, like it would reflect all of this language. And maybe say, like, this is how it's going to work for next year, regardless of what we negotiate, or something like that, right? Like an MOU that's limited in time that says, for this school year, this is the plan. This is what we will communicate to our employees and to our teachers about how the process will work and the compensation will work. And then, we'll fully negotiate it. Now, I think the assumption is that the negotiation will look exactly like this, but then that way, we're following the P&A process.
I mean, I don't know that we would need to necessarily go back through it when we're in negotiations. I think that, the subcommittee's done the work. It would just more so be like the MOU would say this is going to go towards ratification and sit in the P&A when we ratify. Wouldn't it? Like, I don't think we need to re-go over it a couple months from now to renegotiate, negotiate it, because I think you guys have all, the committee's done all the legwork on it already.
I'm just spinning in my head here. Could we throw out this singular item to a vote to the members, and then after, if it was approved as an addendum to our current one without I'm just thinking involving all the members so they know what's going on, adding it to the current one. I don't know how about that works. Can we propose it? My head's spinning. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out of how do we get it put in for next year? Without just doing a straight up.
What we would be our work, I think, during formal negotiations would be to agree to P&A language. Does that make sense? Which would probably look a lot like the MOU.
I think the big thing we need going forward, the timeliness, is the amount of money.
Right.
And the concept that people are not committing themselves to more than a year. That it will be a principal's decision. And that I think we also need to make it clear to people that based on staffing, so when your principal may reach out to you in March, but by the end of May or June, that 6th hour may not be needed. I think people should know that up front. And, I doubt people are going to be planning in March for next fall. But I think those are the big things. And then I think, like you said, Rachel, the actual language that we put into the contract, we can talk about that, and we can put language in that we will review that. This year, the committee will reconvene and decide how it needs to be tweaked. I would hate to think we're going to remove this. I'd like it to be more that it would be language that may need to be tweaked based on what lessons that we learned from this process.
That's kind of how I see it too. I mean, none of us can envision how negotiations are going to go when we formally start it up. I mean, we've always, I guess, the last 2 years, we've done some tweaking of language within the P&A. That's been kind of one of our groups. And we just don't know where different things are going to go. So to presume that all of this is going to go into the P&A, I think would be a bit of a leap. But I like the MOU idea where we capture it right now. And maybe it states something like, in spite of however the P&A ends up, this is what we'll be held to for the 22-23 school year. I think we need to give some assurance to principals and to teachers that this MOU is going to hold tight for 22, 23, independent of what the P&A states.
And that's what we've done before. We've done MOUs beyond the negotiations process for I can't remember what it is right now, but even in my tenure, we've agreed to something. And then
But
it was for a year's period.
have we done MOUs for the following year before? The only thing that I'm thinking and is sticking out to me is doing an MOU for a contract year that we haven't even.
But this is actually being implemented, I mean, it has to be implemented in the spring, per se, because you have to staff in this contract year. So technically, the staffing of this is occurring, I mean, it could technically be it could be an addendum to this year's current contract.
Well, and that was my point of,
Yeah.
like, if it's an addendum to this year's, that's where, in my head, I'm seeing the difference of the MOU. Is it an MOU to this one or for next year? And it's hard for me to wrap my head around an MOU for one that's not even.
Yeah. And then can we word that MOU, that part of that MOU was both sides agree that this will come to the table in this year's contract to see how the progress is going and to see how we want to proceed.
The nice thing is you guys will get feedback about this.
Pretty
and
early.
what's confusing, what's not confused, and that will be really helpful to us when we're drafting the language, because I think the language here is going to have to be really clear and understandable.
Yeah, what we have here is really
It's
not
rough.
language, it's kind of hodgepodge of, there's some language in there as to who we were thinking groups and processes, but we were using like Olathe's language of
Yeah.
a variance.
It certainly needs to be cleaned.
So the MOU will be that we agree to language that has these kind of basic components that you outline, Linda. But that we will work on the language, but it will contain these things. There'll be guarantees for our staff about the basic components of it. And that, we will come to the table here and work on language. And the way I see that would work, Jay, is that even if we didn't have a negotiated agreement ratified by the start of the school year, we would still pay that. We have that MOU in place. So we would still pay that. It might be under this salary schedule and not the next one, but we would have that. So it would still go forward and compensate those people.
Well, and if necessary, if you feel it's necessary, however the vehicle will be to do it, it would allow for that contract addendum or whatever to be signed and good to go for the year. So,
I will do my homework and start working on something, and I can, share it,
So I don't-
put it in the drive folder, and once everyone's sort of on the same page, then we can get it signed, and then we may need to work on a joint communication to go out that explains it and shares the MOU.
we have a building rep meeting on November 29th, which if you could get us bullets, at least we could let our high school reps understand it, and we have someone from almost every high school on our exec board as well, but, so that would be a good thing, and then also probably get it out to, this is.
Middle school.
Middle and high school too, sorry. Get that out to those secondary principals as well. Did we have on that bulleted list, did I say the option to do it a semester or a year?
No more than a year, and then I had no more than a year, and then I will add option for semester.
I just think that gives principals a little flexibility if someone is hesitant to do it for a whole year.
And I think you had said that two staff members could split it, each taking a semester.
Especially with our strong, PLCs, I'm just thinking, at North, we all are on the same page with the same standards that we're teaching, so it's not like, having one person teach the sixth class one semester and then somebody else the second semester is going to be different at all.
Well, and I would add that in a high school specifically, we have a lot of semester electives.
Right.
And you may have 11 sections, and you may only need one semester of a
Yep.
particular section.
Yep.
Any other thoughts?
There's a chat from Stephanie that says, May want to seek consensus from the IBB team on the MOU language in this meeting, just as good habit.
Okay. So what
Yeah,
are you
Rachel,
thinking,
it
Stephanie?
sounds like there's agreement, but just to make sure there's space for any concerns, questions that maybe got overlooked, you may just want to make sure you got thumbs up.
Okay, is
Rachel,
everyone
yeah.
comfortable with moving forward with an MOU as described? Understand that everyone's going to have an opportunity to have their eyes on it before signature. Okay, awesome. Thank you to everybody who worked on that.
And we wouldn't bring, are you thinking we'd bring the team back, or are you thinking we'd look at it and like do a vote somehow?
Yeah, I think that we could use technology to facilitate revisions to that. It'll be an editable document for everyone. And we might send like a speak now or forever hold your peace type email, and then it'll be done.
Maybe speak before the end of the day, in case you're teaching all day.
Oh, yes, I'll keep that in mind. Okay, I think, is everyone ready to move on to the next agenda item?
Yeah.
Okay. Which was a presentation from our other subcommittee,
I
or
don't
at
know
least
if we
discussion.
really have a presentation other than,
That's
you
some
know,
stuff, Jay.
oh, well, we have a little bit, yes. But not like a formal, like, I have created a slideshow, no.
No slideshow, no. Yeah, so we met as a salary schedule subcommittee. It was myself, Jay, John, Lindsay, and then some other team members as well. Did we do 2 meetings again?
Yeah.
2 meetings?
We're about to have our third next week.
So one of the things that we did was collect salary schedules from across the metro and other places. I was out recruiting this week too, and I actually have some information from other districts. It's kind of interesting how they do things. But anyway, we took a look at salary schedules. Russell Knapp and Allison Starkowski are district members of that team. One of the things that Allison brought to the table, which I think most, if not all, the team members thought was a good idea, was this idea of surveying people. So surveying members, teachers, surveying administrators, and trying to determine what people valued in a salary schedule. Like, what do we want to get out of it? I mean, there's clearly, you can structure it where it's really heavy on the front end, heavy in the middle, trying to move people along to get advanced degrees, dead zones, no dead zones, all of those different things. And so rather than us trying to read people's minds, to put out a survey. Then we thought, well, we're committed to thought exchange, and that thought exchange just kind of lets those thoughts flow rather than, you know, the developer of the survey just giving them those prompts. So I believe our task was for me to work with David Smith to work with Thought Exchange to try to develop a couple different prompts. So in the shared drive, so negotiations team shared folder, there's a salary schedule subcommittee, and there's 2 documents that maybe you want to look at. The one is the Word doc. It's the Shawnee Mission salary schedule. What's the full name of it? Cadence and timeline. That is not my language. That's Thought Exchange language. But basically a timeline of how we would do this. So David Smith and I met with the Thought Exchange team a couple different times, got their feedback on what they thought would be impactful, gave them what we were hoping to do. And really where we landed was to run 2 exchanges. The first exchange would be more general, to try to collect people's general thoughts about why, what questions they would have on a salary schedule. And then the second exchange would. I was like, what, am I saying something
We
funny,
see a
Jay?
little baby. Oh, no, there she went away. In your screen, there was the little baby. Never mind.
Thanks, Jay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
So the first was to run a more general exchange, collect that information, write a second prompt that would drill deeper into people's thoughts and ideas. And that second exchange would be really where we would get the information that would help guide this subcommittee and our team, the bigger IBB team, once we got into formal negotiations. So because there are 2 exchanges, of course, it's going to take a little bit longer. Initially, we thought, we being the subcommittee, that we would just have this one prompt, we'd put it out tomorrow, start doing it, and then get pretty immediate feedback. After consultation with Thought Exchange, they really guided us to take our time and to be a little more deliberate about it. So you can kind of see the timeline there. And then the other document I would call to your attention is just something I created from an email that David and I got from Thought Exchange. You can take a look at the participation link and what they've created for us. Forget her name, but she's brilliant at these. She is willing to come talk to our group at some time. She was going to come today, but she had a prior engagement where she could really share with us what this is going to look like and what she feels like we can get out of it. So I was encouraged. I was encouraged by what we think we can get out of, not surveying, but doing these thought exchanges with not just the membership, but with administrators from across the district.
So can I ask, I just had this out, so I pulled it up again. So there's something going out this week,
If we approve it,
and then something going out next week?
let me double check the timeline. I don't think so.
Next week as well.
That's
It will be open.
Be
and-
open till then? Okay.
It'll be closed on the 19th. And then our team would review, send out another one.
Yeah, so that week of the 22nd is when Thought Exchange would help us kind of decipher the results. And then the week of the 29th is when we could come back together and determine what that second prompt is going to look like. And then week of December 6th is when we would launch the second exchange. So there's some ideas on what the second exchange would look like, but we really need the results of the first exchange to guide that.
I'm just reading these from a teacher at the end of the day, and, sorry. And what are some things you want to know more about with regards to the salary schedule? Boy, you're going to get a lot of weird responses on that one. And it's kind of, and in what respect? Like the history of the salary schedule, that, I don't know. Did anybody think that was like a really general, and maybe Thought Exchange wants a really general schedule, but,
Yeah, the first exchange question,
The first thing that came to my mind is if someone would say, why are there areas in the salary schedule where you move a step but you don't get an increase? And I don't even know if we can answer that anyway, so.
but we're not going to answer these people, and if we already anticipate these questions, why are we doing it? Sorry, I don't mean to be, just trying to think what's going to yield us really useful information. If our goal is, we're looking at, improving, changing the salary schedule, and maybe you do have to go really broad and then get into the weeds to see how to go forward.
Do we look back at the essential question of, do you feel the salary schedule meets the needs of our staff type? Or,
Yeah, I think you're going to get to the heart more with that question, because then in Thought Exchange, you can respond, you can comment in different layers.
What do you think, what do you think would improve our type?
That's kind of where I see like these second two, like in the second set of questions. Like I can, like especially this stop, start, or continue or improve. I can see that yielding more of what we're looking for.
it's funny you mentioned that. Initially, she was suggesting that we only have one exchange that was super robust, where it had language like what you just referenced. And when you gave your thought, you had to say, you had to use a primer, like I want to start this, or I want to stop that, and then they could pull out the data by that primer. And then they kind of pushed us the other direction, that maybe it's better just to start general, see what they want, and then go to the second exchange. And guys, this is why we're having this meeting, so, I mean, I'm no thought exchange expert.
I just think, I'm just wondering, I feel like just a general teacher of like, what do you want? And we're just gonna get more money, you know what I mean? Like, no dead zones, more money, and, you know, like, the things that we're like, okay, that's what we're trying to figure out type of responses.
So are you guys looking at the suggested questions in that first? Yeah, okay. So I think they were suggesting like a question like, what questions do you have about our salary schedule? That's not, because we anticipated that too. Well, I want to make more money and I want to do it quicker, right? We thought like a question like that will not allow for that type of response, right?
Will the survey be, I doubt that you make your surveys a requirement, but I wonder if it's going to matter if all you have is volunteer answers versus a good high percentage of responses.
I think if you align it with a Tuesday staff meeting, if, you know, fit that in and the principal gives everybody some time to hit it too, then just ask them to use some time to do it, because the people that don't want to could literally sit there and not do anything, but it gives everybody an idea, and then everybody hears, hey, we're asking your opinion on this.
How about if we had a question like, how could the salary schedule be improved? Give examples or be specific.
Or what about how could the structure of the salary schedule be improved? And maybe that will, you know, be a little more, like, yes, everyone wants to make more money. We got that part, but the actual structure of it is what the team is looking at, right?
Yeah. Mike, I don't know if maybe, because you tried to meet, or to have her here. I mean, if we could use technology and maybe meet next week to go over a couple of these things with them.
Totally.
And then we could get back to it. I think.
I also think, I know we probably want this information sooner than later, but I think the survey right now, I think it's probably better to take a little time and maybe get our questions right, because people are holding their breath till a week from Friday. And so, you know, they're trying to do everything they can to get things completed before the break and to kind of maybe be ready for when they come back from the break so that they can have a break. So I think the timing to get a high percentage of people back would probably be better, maybe that right when we come back from break, where you have almost a month before the next break. I only know that because we were figuring out our phone.
Because it like ghosts in.
Do we think that this, because obviously that is information that the committee feels like they need. This kind of bleeds into our next agenda item, but are we thinking that that committee will just continue to meet as IBB is meeting, and then at some point when they feel like they're ready, we would marry together?
Yeah, but I think for me, my objective, my goal isn't to have a deadline in place.
Okay.
I mean, I could totally see taking some time on this and really getting through it. You know, I don't want to be like, well, we have to have this in line to hit and get into this one. I have no problem with us.
I don't think anyone should hold their breath that this will be done by ratification. Because I think everybody wants to like go
I mean, we're setting a
slow
whole
and
other tone.
do it right and
Okay.
versus do something and then a couple years from now, we're saying, oh, this didn't work and we need to redo it.
No, I appreciate that because it's a huge effort to get a schedule, and it's something you do want to get right so that hopefully that structure stays in place for a number of years. And because people can't count on that, right? They look at that and make decisions based
Yeah.
off that, so,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think that's kind of how I started when we were meeting. I was like, this may take a while.
No, that's helpful, I
Yeah.
think. Okay. So are we kind of landing that, that team is going to, that subcommittee is going to re-meet with the Thought Exchange folks, maybe refine a little bit based on the feedback from this meeting, and maybe look at pushing it after the break when people might be able to give more thoughtful responses?
There's definitely November brain and other things going on right now.
I understand.
I think that's great. Do we want feedback from this group before we push out a thought exchange? I think that was the belief last time. So I don't think we would do anything before this group got eyes on it.
Could it be another that, you know, we just send it out to the team of like, this is kind of what we landed on, share your feedback and, or just share a thumbs up and we can move forward?
Is my calendar appointment correct that we're meeting again December 7th?
Maybe. Let's see.
Your group?
Got a
Yes.
couple different groups. December 7th.
I don't have
I
it
don't
on
have
there.
that,
Did you not
Jay.
get a?
I don't know why my calendar says that. I was thinking for some reason that we were meeting next week too, but you know, it falls in line with just barely knowing that today is Thursday, you know?
I've got late start, early release next week.
So we need to coordinate schedules before
Yeah.
we leave.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Should we do a consensus that
We agree
we're
to move
agree to
forward
move?
with,
Yes, thank you.
surveying, well, continue exploring possible survey questions and bringing back potential questions to our next.
Or we could
either-
use technology.
Or,
Yeah.
well, that's what I was gonna say,
Got
to
it.
either communicate that across as technology or next meeting, whatever.
Mhm.
And maybe what language they use with the thought exchange, right? Because how you reference it in the thought exchange might be helpful to set the tone for what the questions are.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
That sounds good.
Awesome, okay. So, looks like our next thing is organization for negotiations for 22-23. I would say, first of all, and this is also for Stephanie, we would like to have, we need to have another formal training. And I know, Stephanie, you said we can request, right, to have you in person, and you could be in person for that, which would be wonderful. Because I know we had people join, we had members join, you know, in January last year, and we didn't really have like kind of the all-day training, and I think that was so helpful and beneficial that first time that we did it, gosh, summer of 2020, end of May. And so we would like to do that again. That's the first thing.
Jill, I'll have to look back on our emails. Did we do a 6-hour or an 8-hour the full day? Do you remember?
Were we done with school by then? Oh, we had
I
no
think-
school because
I
it was
think-
the fourth
yeah.
quarter of 2020.
I think it was 6-hour training with a lunch built
Yes,
in.
yep.
Some socialization time kind of
Mm-hmm.
on front and back sides.
Do you want to go ahead and look at dates for that right now so that I can go ahead and make the request that I come on site for that? And what
Yes.
time would you be looking at? And that sounds right, Linda. Generally, a 6 hour is good with a lunch.
And I assume we probably don't want to do Mondays and Fridays. This is because of substitute shortages. Okay.
So probably December or January, right? So we can get our meetings started.
What's your Christmas break or your holiday break going to be?
22nd
Yeah, December 22nd
through
through January 3rd.
So would you look at maybe the first 2 weeks of December, after Thanksgiving but before the holiday break?
Yep.
Yeah, we could.
So 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 16. 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 16.
The 9th looks wonderful.
Somebody throw out dates that won't work for them, so we can
I
eliminate.
would say probably not the 16th, just because the next day is our first day of finals.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say that Tuesdays, to be away from my classroom, that's seminar day. So, with moving into finals, I actually have kids that come see me during seminar. And
Tuesdays, so it'd be 8th, 9th, or 15th. And Jay just said he loves the 9th, so
The 9th is beautiful.
Wednesdays are better for you. Okay.
I'm fine with the 8th though too, but.
Anybody have a conflict on December 8th, and are you available that day, Stephanie?
I'm available both the 8th and 9th, but what time are y'all looking at?
So if we do 6 hours, what? We could start at like 8:30 or 9? Either one.
We usually get to school.
Like a 9 to 3.
Oh, no, you don't get to school till 8:05, John.
Like a 9 to 3 with a lunch or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9 to 3 on Wednesday, December 8th.
Do we need the 6 hours plus the lunchtime?
No.
She ran away.
That's a good question. Like, I don't know if the content is 6 hours or if the content
I thought
includes
she said 6 hours with a lunch.
with a lunch.
I said that. That's what I kind
Oh,
of
okay.
recalled that we did before, but man, that was 2 years
I
ago.
thought she did too.
Stephanie, is the content 6 hours and then we need to build in a lunch? Or if we block out 6 hours total, is that enough time?
I think 6 hours total is good because you aren't all brand new to the concepts. So we're not going to linger a long time. So I would say 6 hours total, and we'll include like a 45-minute lunch. And of course, we'll just take sort of the morning and afternoon breaks.
Okay, I will work on reserving a space. I don't think we have to notice or broadcast that because it's not a negotiations meeting.
Oh, yeah, we don't have to broadcast our training.
Yeah, I mean, we can of course share the materials if anybody wants to know how it works, but we should be able to be informal and at a place where we're not lined up in a weird configuration with microphones in front of us, so it should be more comfortable. I'll send everybody a calendar invite right now.
Are we thinking what'd we settle on, 9 to 3?
9 to 3.
Okay.
Don't forget.
And
the
so on
photos.
that, Rachel, I'm going to send you probably like a list of materials needed, any sort of setup. If you remember in person, we need flip like that. So Rachel, is it okay that I work with you through that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are we okay with doing it in this building? I mean, I assume probably central for everyone, but okay. 1, 2, 3.
And then when you all looked to start your negotiations, what week were you looking at?
So let's talk just like general schedule, because I think we did twice a month while school was in session, every other week or something like that. And then we added some at the end. And obviously we did a good job in terms of completing and getting an agreement before we hit the next school year. But what are thoughts on that?
If we do, and say we did, assuming we did one where we did extra time and we came in early, I would hate to have it to be like a Tuesday, Thursday, because then those are secondaries is all I'm thinking. Like, You're always missing the same class. We're always going to be missing the same class. I'm just saying if we were trying to do it longer.
Okay.
Yeah, because we talked about, instead of starting at 3, start at, 12:30 or 1, right? And, but like he's saying, if we always have it on Thursdays, then, at least for secondary, we're always missing the same classes. Oh, that's true. Well, okay, what I mean,
A rotation of days would help me tremendously, because I've got construction meetings
all the time, yeah.
nonstop, and to miss the same ones over would be very challenging.
Right.
So I'm all for moving it. I don't mind if it's 2 times a month, if we want to stick with that, but I think if we move the days, and if you wanted to move it inside of the day, that's fine, it's not a problem.
I mean, personally, I am tired, trying to shove this short meeting in at the very end of the day, and I can't imagine if I had been, with students the entire day before that. So I feel like it's exhausting. It was exhausting last year for us all to work a full day, come in, and then try and get all this done, and it doesn't allow sometimes. I think you can feel rushed, or you can feel like we have to get this done and we need to get to a good stopping point, and that's hard to do in an hour and 45 minutes.
Can we do a 1 to 3? Can you all do a 1 to 3 if we rotate it around the month, as long as we do 2 a month?
I have some concerns with that, just because, my sub jobs are not getting picked up unless the building sub is available.
Okay.
I need to teach sped.
And, that's really hard for me then, and,
Okay.
But I just want to at least air the concern, and, we can make
Can you
do.
schedule the building sub ahead of time if we know when the meetings are?
But then if a classroom teacher has to be out for an emergency, they take precedence over.
No, she says she'll be back in 2 minutes.
So
I think she stopped showing or something.
I just, we can make it work, but
Here's my thought too. I hate to take a half a day sub and we're only negotiating for 2 hours. Like a half day sub,
it's 11:30 for elementary.
11:30. What is it for, is it 12:45 for?
12:05.
12:05. We may need to get you a full day sub, but it just makes sense if we're missing 4 hours of classes that we are using that whole block. Not that we don't enjoy doing a little errand running or whatever, but it just would make more sense. And maybe every once in a while, we build in an actual full day, because it's much easier to get subs also if it's for a full day than a part day. Subs want full days work.
That's correct.
So maybe, what I'm thinking is maybe initially, the first few meetings where we are just presenting our issues, those could be after school, for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, however we want to do it. Those also are not necessarily we're not like trying to create language so it's not so hard on the brain. And then when we start working, look, maybe once a month is a full day release. And we can set our agendas for, hey, that's something where we really want to, we're to the point where we really want to get this piece done. That's just my thought. I just trying to sit, make it, keeping in mind the sub deal, maximizing our time here if we're going to take that time away from school, and also being more productive for everybody. Because it doesn't matter, it's going to be sub days no matter what, so it might as well be sub days where it's
Using the whole day.
using the whole day.
I think as long as we had some breaks built in, so for, like Dr. Grillhouse, me, Dr. Schumacher, I mean, we have emergencies that like, I know we're gonna have to have breaks during the day to hop on and support people or respond to, but as long as we could get some breaks to kind of catch up and return phone calls and hop on things, I think we could do that, here.
Rachel, are you all still looking at Thursdays?
Well, I don't know now.
Or what day? I just want to say that I do have an 11 to 12, an internal meeting, 11 to 12, almost every week and on Thursdays. Because I think generally when we've done Thursdays, we've done later in the day, but I'm good during the day. And some of those internal meetings I can bow out of, but we may have to kind of work a break time and or agenda or schedule around them sometimes if you go with Thursdays, unless there was another day you were looking at.
Well, that's.
And again, I feel like you all are pretty self-managed, so it doesn't really necessarily, mess up your whole day to not have me, maybe from 11 to noon on some Thursdays.
Well,
I just think that'd be an awful early lunch for you all,
I don't know. Well, but if we do the all-day thing, then that would fit in. Say we picked Thursdays once a month that we were doing all day, then we could take a little bit longer period, especially if she's having 11 to noon, that you have time to then put some fires out temporarily until.
So do we want to maybe get like a January meeting or two that's just those short meetings?
Yeah.
And then pick meetings like the next month or two that are long?
Maybe we could do a Google form or something that comes out that everybody puts in their dates for each month that wouldn't work for an all-day meeting, and then
We can do that in Outlook.
an Outlook. Okay. Thanks, Jay.
Jay can organize
I
that.
know.
You just volunteered.
Voluntold.
So if we want to look at January for just getting our first meeting to share our notice letters, I think it'd be good to have that on the calendar now, because I got a back plan from that to preview them with the board, and obviously you guys have to back plan to get feedback from from the professional employees. So how late in the month, early or late, do we want to look for doing that meeting?
What is your return from your holiday break, guys? I am out of the country from January 8th to January 16th.
Oh. So maybe January 20th?
Yeah, that's fine.
Unless you want to get that exchange meeting in before the 8th, if you all are back. I'm not sure when you're back from your holiday.
I think January 20th would be great. That gives me a January executive board meeting.
Okay.
Which I think is pretty important with our bylaws to at least share that with our group.
What time are we talking about ending at 5 on that day?
Yeah, I have childcare problems if we go.
It's also the day of my birth,
Oh.
so I'm just saying.
I can think of no
Unimportant.
greater birthday present.
Bring cake.
Unimportant.
Just saying.
January 20th. I mean, we can look at the next week too, the 27th.
No, I'm just saying, I'm fine with it as long as we're like not
He wants to be able
here
to go to dinner.
at like 7 o'clock.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I understand.
So are we saying like 3 to 5 that day?
Can everybody make it at 3? Like Jill, Jay, John, I know you're going to have to
Yes.
buck out no matter what.
Yeah, usually the parking lot is, I can get out of the parking lot at like 2:50 and I'm just down the way, so.
Okay.
I didn't get in my car till
It's-
3, so that was my
I mean,
fault.
I can get here like 3:05, like, I was only a couple minutes late today because there was a meeting slammed in at the end that I needed to get some information to somebody, and then I ran over here. But
Okay.
normally I get here 3:05 pretty consistently.
Okay, so I'm sending everybody a calendar invite for January 20th from 3 to 5 p.m., and that will be our notice letter meeting, and then maybe before then, we can start coordinating some longer days in February and March, at least, maybe through spring break or something.
Yeah, and I think once we have the notice letters, we can have a sense of, once we know what our issues are, we can kind of chunk out which ones would be good to schedule on those longer days.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, since we have a little bit of time, I don't feel like y'all are jammed on your agenda. Is the board agenda or the board calendar out far enough in advance to know what your goal is on being done with your contract next year?
You mean like a time?
Just so that when you do go to set more dates, you sort of work back from knowing your sort of date you'd like to be finished for whatever board meeting budget-wise that lines up with, or is it just not possible to know that yet?
Well, that's the key, right? There's always this, it's not possible to finish super early because we have to wait until the finance department has sufficient, budget information to share with the team. We sort of talked about that last year when we did our MOU just on the negotiations process. And, it's not something where you put time pressure on finishing it, but I think there was like a general consensus that it's really nice if before teachers start back, negotiations are done. And just for everyone in here who has the hard job of doing the work, it's nice not to have to meet a ton in the summer, but we've committed to do this and we will if that's what it takes. So,
And it has to be ratified, it's ratified by the bargaining unit, and then it goes to the board. And so really, it's really hard, once you get to the end of the school year, you really wait till they come back to ratify it. That's a very quick process now that it's electronic, but we're talking about, we would have it ready to, this year we had it ready to go on the very first day teachers reported back. And we knew within, I think we had a 3-day window for people to vote.
So it's a rough goal.
I mean, we'd all love to finish before the end of May,
Yeah.
Because we could ratify, if we knew that we were close, we could tell, people, hey, this is here, vote before you check out. So if you can. It's always good to have goals, high aspirations for.
And it does get, obviously, because we all operate our lives on a school schedule, a lot of people have their family vacations and family plans and visits in the summer, and then it becomes a nightmare trying to coordinate all of our schedules.
Okay, hold on. Did you say, Stephanie, in the chat that you're gone on January 8th?
I leave January 8th and I return January 16th.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
It's
Of January, yeah.
It's December 8th.
And then also,
that we're doing never mind. I was thinking, wait.
So I do have, I have 2 large districts starting IBB for their first time this year. I'm guessing, like you all do, large districts with, decent sized committee, they're going to want to sort of pick a day. Do you guys generally sense, is the reason that you generally lean towards Thursdays still probably going to be true to your next schedule? And therefore, when these 2 districts that I haven't started with look for their regular day, I'll want to know that I'd want to avoid Thursdays with those other districts. I can't hold every Thursday, but I do want to get a sense of if you think you're going to sort of try to go for those Thursdays again. I don't remember why y'all did, but if so, then I could sort of steer those other two newer IBB clients towards a different day of the week to kind of keep keep as many Thursdays open for y'all as possible. Is Thursday sort of still where you think you might land on when you do go to get your longer dates?
Well, we just started talking about possibly rotating the day if we were going to do like a full day.
Right,
So,
okay. And you were talking Tuesday,
I don't know that we can
Thursday,
answer your
okay.
question right now.
Should we be picking at least one full day a month now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying that's where I'm saying I think it might be a good idea. Because I think a lot of districts are going to start what you all are doing. 2 of them need training, but trainings are set. And at the end of their day 2 training, they'll start setting their schedule. So it'd be nice if I could say, no, I have another IBB on that date. But at the same time, it's also not absolutely necessary that we do.
Are we thinking
If you all aren't ready.
1 whole day a month or 2 whole days a month?
Yeah. We met for 4 hours a month last year. So we did two hours. So if we did one 8-hour day or one 6-hour day, that's considerably more than what we did last year.
And then also do a 2-hour another time during the month. I would say we start with 1 a month now. Nobody wants to be gone from the classroom or your office more than that, just.
And if you all don't have a lot of issues come forth, and you'll know more January 20th, it's easier to drop dates, I think, unless there's already a commitment to subs, but at least I'd be holding the days.
February 10th, how's that work? Just kidding. It's a Thursday.
I don't know, who's got a February birthday?
I do. My birthday's the 8th, and we can't meet on my birthday because I have dinner plans. No, just joking.
Wow.
February 10th
A full day on the
Are you
10th?
looking at doing a full day?
for that one. That's a date he just threw out. Doesn't mean we have to, when are conferences?
I don't know if it matters, but the elementary has the letters training, so there's going to be a significant amount of subs for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that week already.
I
mean, like 30 or 40 subs already.
I also have a Sunflower League meeting that day, and I'm the Sunflower League president, so.
February 17th.
Are we looking at a 6-hour when you're talking full day? Or are we looking
Yes.
at 6 hours? Okay.
With a chunk of change in the middle for you to.
Gotcha.
17th?
16th?
And if,
I'm out that week.
How about the 9th?
gosh,
of-
y'all
what
are
about-
already have a tough schedule.
What about the 9th of February?
Well, she was saying the 8th, 9th, and 10th, they're all going to be the.
There's letters training, so, I mean, I don't know how much impact, but I mean, you're talking at least 30 to 35 subs already for elementary training.
Thursday, the
I don't know if that's
24th.
significant enough to impact everyone else in the district, but I just don't know.
We could do the 16th. Are you out, or did you say you're out that whole week, Mike?
Tuesday on.
So 15, 16, 17. Okay. So you can do 23rd.
So the 3rd or the 24th would be Thursdays.
Conference is on the 3rd.
Well, that's
How about
just normally a long day
24th?
anyways. It might be a more relaxing day to do it on the 3rd.
February 3rd.
2nd,
Or the 23rd.
Yeah, or the 23rd.
I
I'm good
can't,
with the 23rd.
23rd is good for me.
What's the 23rd for you?
I have a deep equity practitioners, but I can talk with Dr. Bates.
Yes, no on the 23rd?
I think that's okay.
Okay, so that's our all day. That's our 9 to 3.
What? Instructional Fair is the day before. Monday's President's Day, and 22nd is Instructional Fair, professional learning.
Well, the good news about that is it's a blackout day. It's a blackout day, so there shouldn't be a lot of, I mean, there'll be 6 subs, but it's not a,
Well, the 23rd is not a blackout day, but
It'll just be back.
well,
the 22nd
Yeah.
would be.
that's true. But what I'm saying is you're not going to have a lot of people
Trying to,
trying to extend it from there because they've got to be back Tuesday.
And are we saying like an 8 to 3, 8:30 to 3:30? With a chunk in the middle for people needing to have meetings and stuff?
8:30 to 3:30 on February 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when is the spring break? That's going to be a down time for y'all. Is that in March or April?
March 14th.
So do you want to get in one more day between February 23rd and the start of spring break? And at least you got 2 on the calendar.
Ninth or 10th? 8th, 9th, or 10th?
Yeah,
Teacher
Friday the
work
11th is teacher work. I would think it might be better in March to have it either like 22nd, 23rd, 24th, or 29th, 30th, 31st.
A little bit of separation. We can have
Yeah.
a shorter meeting in between.
I don't want to be gone right before.
And that's the end of the
Break.
quarter too, the week
Yeah.
of the 9th, so. How does the 29th is staff meetings, so 30 or 31st?
I don't have anything. What about the 23rd or 24th of March?
The other
Yeah.
one's a Wednesday also. The 23rd's a Wednesday.
Did we do Wednesday the first time?
Oh, yeah, February 23rd is a Wednesday.
February 23rd's a Wednesday.
So then March
23rd
24th?
is a Wednesday.
That works.
The 24th? We have a meeting with Dr. Hubbard, so maybe our break could be during that time.
Yeah.
And with Joe, or we'll find another day. That might be too much togetherness that you want. With the Jill and I, it's a lot of Jill.
We got faculty
And me.
council after that from 4 to 5, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we landed on the 24th.
Just put them all on.
Okay, so March 24th from 8:30 to 3:30.
I don't know why I'm putting these in my phone, because as soon as I put it in my phone, I get my calendar invite, so just look at your calendar. Do we want to fill in the other 2-hour session through March?
It'll be nice for y'all to have all day. I think you'll accomplish a lot versus the 2-hour sessions. And if you're together on the 20th and it feels like your conversation makes it pretty clear you may have a lot of issues to tackle, then you'll know sort of how many of those 2-hour sessions to supplement. So I think you could either do those 2-hour sessions now, or you could schedule them in January.
Do we want to try
At least you
like
got
February
whatever y'all think.
10th as like a short one? So we'd have 2 short ones and a long one.
What was that date? I didn't hear, Lindsay.
February 10th?
That work for everybody?
Can do that.
But that's Sunflower League meeting.
Yeah, you've got a sunflower meeting.
In like at 3 o'clock, there would be like a 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock? Or is,
I could probably make 3:30.
Let's do it different.
yeah, we can make a different day.
Or the 9th.
Yeah, the 9th, because we wouldn't mess up the
I can't
letters.
the 9th, I'm with the board, and I can't cancel on that.
Okay.
I can cancel on anything else, I can't cancel on that.
True, true.
This might be hard because second and third, we have conferences, right? 9th and 10th aren't going to work. 16th, 17th in February is Mike's out of town.
Well-
Or not out of town, just gone, yeah. And so the only other day would be the 24th after our all-day. Oh,
Well, this
after,
is after school.
oh yeah, this is after school. So we wouldn't want to do a Tuesday because of staff meeting. Could do a
Right.
Monday, as long as we don't have executive board, NEA or
We could do it
the
on
14th.
the 14th.
Oh,
True.
I don't have any plans.
I only want to spend it with you all.
It's a board workshop.
21st.
We've got a board meeting that night anyway, so.
And we have,
Oh, that's President's Day. That's
yeah, and
right.
we have exec board and rep council on the others. What about a Tuesday? I know we have staff meetings.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Wow.
So is a Tuesday a no-go? Because you want, you know what I mean?
I guess you mean,
Yes.
my staff meetings run without me,
That's awesome.
so, yeah, I mean.
What a good delegator, I love that. I do, I think it's good.
Tuesday, the 8th.
It's okay.
Oh,
I'll just send you a gift list
We'll
before you have plenty of
have
time to
ca-
shop.
We'll have prepackaged
What about the
cake
first?
slices.
I can do it.
what
COVID
about
said.
Tuesday the 1st?
I can do the 8th. I mean,
We're gonna be done by 5.
yeah, I could do the 8th.
That's
I
same
mean,
grief.
That is the time.
that's,
So
yeah, I
then
can do the 8th if that works for everyone else.
Okay.
February 8th,
February
okay.
8th. And we are doing 3 to 5?
Just the shiny sneeze.
3 to 5 o'clock?
Just that we know it will probably be more like a 3:05 real start for Jay to get here by then.
Okay.
And then do we want a March date as well for like a short meeting?
Wednesday, the 2nd.
Works.
What date you say?
Wednesday, the 2nd of March.
Does that impact any of us?
Is that a presentation where the state's coming in for accreditation purposes?
Are they here from 3 to 5? How about March 3rd?
Yep.
March 3rd, good?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Meeting on March 3rd, and that's a short meeting, 3 to 5 again, right?
Right.
That gets us 5 dates on the calendar.
And gets us through March, which is good.
Okay. Everyone should have gotten all of these calendar invites, so let me know if I can,
And Stephanie, you got all of our dates?
I sent her Outlook items too. I don't know if they're coming through for you, Stephanie.
Yes, they are.
They came through, Rachel.
Hold on, Rachel, you just send out your own calendar invites?
What do you mean?
Because you usually have.
Oh, yes, well, sometimes I have to resort to that.
Stephanie says she got them all.
Okay, good deal. Awesome. Okay. I'm glad we did this, because if we waited any longer,
Oh, it just
it was
would've
going to
been
get bad.
So, my group just request the sub for Is it December 8th is our first one, or November? Where are we doing? that one?
December 8th.
December 8th.
Probably the sooner we get those in, the better.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about or cover?
I don't believe so.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Dane, for coming today. I appreciate it. You'll get to learn a lot more, obviously, about the process. I know that you were keyed into what happened last year, but Stephanie does a really good job training, and I think refresher is good for all of us. So I'm looking forward to that, and we can figure out something for lunch that day.
And when we get closer, notice letters, that first meeting in January, procedurally, we'll bring a letter, but we also bring our issue statements, and I'm sure we'll go through that again.
Yep, we'll just bring copies and we can hand them out, and then maybe, hopefully we'll have enough time to start, or at least pick for the next meeting which topics we're going to talk about. Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
We're finished early.
Thanks, guys.